So thank you. I meant to send you a text.
Yeah, I was like.
What? Oh, I know, it's the news, when you get into the speeches. All right. Yes. Okay, so now we have 1 minute. Yeah. I can't think of over. But. Oh, look, everything's fine. You guys are very much behaved classrooms.
Oh, I can change that for you.
I know you can change that. We'll fix the internet and you can talk. Okay. All right, welcome to our Murray School District, June 10th, 2021 regular board meeting. Tonight I'm Belinda Johnson, I'm the vice president. Jaron Cooper is at a family event. Actually, our Miss Murray is his daughter, and she is at the Miss Utah pageant tonight. So go Miss Murray and Miss Cottonwood Heights, because they're both our girls. And Elizabeth has had a family emergency she's had to travel from us, but I have Cami Anderson, board member, and Glo Merrill, board member, Superintendent Jen Covington, and our business administrator, Richard Reese. So we will start with our superintendent will give us our pledge of allegiance, or lead us in our pledge of allegiance. If the audience would please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. I'm going to turn our time over to our business administrator for first of all.
Thank you. Each year we are required by statute to present a budget to the board for approval no later than June 22nd. And so this will meet those statutory requirements, as well as we will require a motion at the end after the public budget hearing to adopt the revised current year budget and proposed budget for next year. So let's go through this. Those that on the board have had this information for review, so we will take a lot of time to review this here tonight. We'll go through briefly and quickly the information. Then if you have questions, follow-up questions at a later date, I'm happy to take the time to sit down and explain those things to you. So we do have legal requirements. As you likely know, the budget officer of the school district is indeed the superintendent and not the business administrator. And then before June 1st, budget officer shall prepare a tentative budget, which will be filed with me at least 15 days before the budget's proposed adoption. And then, of course, the budget shall be adopted to make appropriations for the upcoming fiscal year, and we shall hold a public hearing. So we have met and will meet all of these requirements. And then there's just a requirement for public notice of these of this budget. in a newspaper, on the public website, on our district website, and then file copy with the business administrator. So just some overall assumptions dealing with this budget. The tax rate value, meaning the value against which the tax rates will be assessed, is increased to within Murray School District, $4.67 billion, or $276 million more than last year, 6.3% increase. We had a 3.6% increase in our health insurance premium costs. All three employee groups chose to pass that on to the employees. So the district will not pay any additional for insurance costs for next year. And very importantly, all ongoing costs will be paid with ongoing money. There will be no one-time costs with ongoing costs with one-time money. And there is no proposal for any tax increase for the upcoming year. This is just a slide that shows what our tax rate values have been from 2012 through 2021. We've gone from in 2012 almost 6 billion to 4.6 billion. So a significant increase over the last 10 years. We'll skip this. This is an interesting chart. So this shows the assessed value per student for every school district in the state. As you can see in purple, Murray is above the state average in the assessed value per student. So we're at 748,000. The statewide average is 549,000. So then conversely, with our higher than average tax value or assessed value per student, then we would have a lower than average tax rate. So you can see for the district average statewide is 0.006883. We're at 0.006076. You can look at that for half an hour. But just to give an overall picture of where Murray is compared to state average. Now this slide we've seen before compares where Murray is to the other school districts within Salt Lake County, with Salt Lake being the lowest and Granite having the highest tax rate. Canyons has the next highest rate, followed by Jordan and then Murray, so we're the second lowest. Canyons, however, just as a side note, they, from the time that the districts were split, they were assessed a tax rate to assist in that split to assist Jordan because of the discrepancy in assessed value per student. And I believe next year is the last year that they will be assessed maybe that extra tax rate for Jordan. So then their rate next year will be closer to what Jordan's is currently. The highest tax rates, just for information, is South Stampede, 0096, and the lowest, as you would expect, is Park City, 004. And then the interesting thing, which does not seem accurate to me, but Salt Lake County told me a week and a half ago that the average Murray home value is $385,000. I don't know how that could possibly be, but that's according to their assessments. That's what it is. These are the most recent property tax increases. Just for your information, we're not proposing one for next year. Of course, in 1920, we did a very large one to address the teacher salary issue. I think with the certified rate, this slide basically just addresses the fact that you can generate new tax revenue on an existing property. Instead of going through all the calculations, just understand that if you have a home that's valued at $100,000 and next year it's valued at $150,000, you can't tax it at the same rate at the $150,000. You have to adjust the tax rate to generate the same amount of revenue as you assessed the prior year. So the only way we get new growth is with new property, new buildings coming in online. General fund budget for next year. One of the major issues is the reduction in number of WPU, 326. Because of that, we reduced teaching staff by 10 FTE. There was a fairly large increase in almost 6% increase in the WPU, but because of our decline in enrollment, we only had an additional 14,000 in unrestricted funding, hence the need to reduce teaching staff. In negotiations, we offered, and all three groups accepted the 2.75% COLA. I talked about the 2.6% premium, steps and lanes funded, and then the offer to pay for insurance by the district was added to COLAs for all three employee districts. So the COLA was actually higher than the 2.75. We did receive savings because of the refunding of our lease revenue bonds, and we captured that savings through a switch in tax rates between the capital and the general funds. It's $250,000 overall, but it's $25,000 here, so we captured that in the general fund to try and generate additional revenue to fund this budget. We, as the board will remember, we moved 8 contract custodians from lane 7 to lane 9, and to assist in maintaining good quality people there and to bring that more up to a market rate. Esther CARES funding, we talked about this last month, so that's there again for your review. We have a significant amount of money from the feds to help with the COVID situation. And again, now we have even a larger amount in the ESSER 3 that they still have not given us an exact amount on that will be available. However, albeit more targeted uses, narrow uses than we have done in the past. So we have several of these slides for each of our funds. Without getting into the weeds too much, we have the 3 prior years of actual data, historical data, followed by the column, the 2020-21 revised budget. So a revised budget for the current year, which the board has to approve tonight, and then the proposed budget for next year, which has to be approved as well. So you look at just on an overall basis, you look at the revenues from 1920 actual to the current year revised. There was a significant increase in the WPU. A lot of the increase of that 8 million or 7 million, 8 million was a lot of that's in the federal COVID CARES money, and so corresponding expenditures. We're budgeting a slight decrease in our expended or negative net change in fund balance, but we would anticipate that when it's all said and done, we'll have a positive for this year, similar to what we've experienced in the last 2 or 3 years. And you can see what that would be. So we would anticipate that our fund balance to increase somewhat over prior years. This pie chart, the main reason I wanted to put this in is when we talk about effecting change in the district and managing funds and maybe looking at strategic ways to reutilize the existing funds. The important thing to always remember is you look at salaries as 58%, benefits is 25%, so 83% of the general fund budget is salaries and benefits. So, which is obviously most of what we have available. So anytime the board says, well, can we generate or provide money to do X program or whatever, well, yeah, but it's going to most likely have to come out of salaries and benefits and out of another program. So that's just an important point to keep in mind. And another way to look at it is by function. And so you look at this and you say instruction, the bottom right, or the biggest piece of the pie, 66%. Support services for students, 5%. Even throw in school administration, so it's 11. So the instruction-related costs in the district are 77% of our overall costs as well, which is significant. So everything, and so that's a really high percentage that goes to support instruction in the district. Student activities funds. This fund simply just captures the receipts and expenditures at the school level, mostly our secondaries at the high school and our 2 junior highs. So you can see the budgets for current year and next year is 1.5 million in expenditures and revenues. That's just a placeholder to capture what we will record as the actual expenditures. We won't know that until we finalize those all up through the end of the audit.
What's that? 2021. Yes.
Non-K-12 budget, that's just simply those programs that are outside of the regular K-12 programs. So that would be preschool, that would be recreation fund, community ed, that type of thing. And those numbers are pretty consistent from year to year. And so there's not really a lot there that's different, other than this year, because we don't have a lot of building rentals going on. That's kind of shortchanges budget a little bit. Hopefully that'll change for next year. For capital outlay, we showed this slide last month. We don't have any major projects, a total of just over $1 million small project led mostly by the turf replacement at the high school and these other items as listed. And we went through those last month. So here is in spreadsheet form the revised and proposed budget for capital outlay. It's just a little bit over $3 million in revenues and corresponding expenditures. We don't anticipate spending the amount of revenue, so we'll increase our fund balances by a significant amount in current year and next year. So we'll continue to build those fund balances to help with future large capital projects that we will be incurring. Pass-through taxes fund. This is just an accounting requirement. We have redevelopment agencies in the district. This just there was a accounting rule that required that we develop a fund that shows what the revenue and expenditures attendant to these RDAs in our district. And so we will get a number that shows the tax increment financing that we would have received in the district had these not existed. And then it's just the corresponding expense to match revenue. So it's just an in and out. There's no activity there. It's just a journal entry. Debt service funds, simply to fund our general obligation debt. As you'll recall, in 2013, we had a general obligation bond passed to build up the junior high and to do some seismic refit in the district. And so this is just the debt service, principal and interest on those funds. And we set the tax rate to generate enough revenue to be able to service those funds. So as we pay out more principal or as that debt is restructured and maybe goes down or up, we set the rate higher or lower to match that by law. School lunch, that's just an attempt to capture the activity in the school lunch program, which is managed by Sodexo. And we would anticipate that the revenue should match expenditures in the current and coming year. Lifetime insurance. So this is the fund where we have still in 2006, up to that point, the district offered lifetime insurance benefits. In 2006, those were eliminated, but we still have to fund them. So this fund captures expenses related to the payment of those benefits. We still have about 80 retirees, not including spouses, that are still on that program. And now at this point, We would need to open the meeting up for a public budget hearing. Take any public comment.
Okay, do we have any public comments for the budget hearing? I'm looking at Doug.
Emily, that's what you said? Okay.
She'll have questions tomorrow.
So be it noted then, there's no public comments for the budget hearing. Close the budget hearing.
And we'll close the budget hearing now, and I will ask for a motion for approving the budget for the upcoming school year.
And the final amendment.
And the final amended budget, sorry.
Okay.
So, is this the resolution?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, a resolution approving the revised budget for the fiscal year 2021 as it has been presented to the Board of Education during this meeting on June 10th, 2021. Also approving the budget for the fiscal year 2021-22 as it has been presented to the board on the state. Also approving the certified tax rate necessary to fund the fiscal year 2021-22 budget. The certified tax rate will be set by the Salt Lake County auditor.
All right, thank you. Do we have a second? A second. Thank you. Any discussion? I think we've gone over it enough times. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
Thank you. And just one other note then, even though we're supposed to approve the budget, we still don't have the tax rates from the county or from the state. So that's why we don't have a tax rate listed here, is because we don't have it.
Seems to be the way it's going right now.
I have one quick question.
Yes.
When we start to receive lease on the hotel property, is that going unrestricted general fund balance?
Yes, that's unrestricted.
Which now we should be seeing. Good. All right, let's turn some time over to our superintendent for recognitions.
Thank you, Vice Chair Johnson. I would like to invite Emily Horn up to the stand with me. We are excited to have Emily here with us this evening, as well as two of her sons and her daughter-in-law. Or is it, that's the daughter, no. Oh, daughter-in-law maybe to be. Okay, sorry, I think I just put some pressure on you. I'm really sorry. Sorry about that. Board members, it's my pleasure this evening to present to you Emily Horn, who has been selected to be the assistant principal at Murray High School beginning July 1st of 2021. We are thrilled to have Emily back with us. Just a little bit about Emily. She started her teaching career here in Murray. She was a special education teacher. She then moved into the district office as the behavior specialist for the district. And then she has spent the last couple of months at the Utah State Board of Education working as a UPIP specialist. And that acronym is too long for me to remember what it stands for. But we are thrilled to be able to welcome her back. There was a rigorous interview process, and through that process, Principal Wahangi and those who served on his selection committee felt that Emily Horn would be the best candidate. So this evening, I would like to ask for a motion of support from the board for Emily Horn to be the assistant principal of Murray High School.
I'm going to move that Emily be the assistant principal at Murray High School. And you were wonderful in your, anyway, I was there and she was wonderful, and we had several people, and she was the very best person for this job.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Great. Any discussion besides, yeah, that's exciting, and we're excited to have you. I've only seen you in like elementary, so it'll be exciting to see you in the high school. So
Maybe some condolences.
watch out for the kids' last names Anders. All right, let me, can I take a vote? And everybody in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Great.
Great, and I would like to turn the microphone over to Emily for just a few minutes to say a few words to the board, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to address you. I've written down a few thoughts because I'm too nervous to do this on my own. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be working at Murray High School with students at the culmination of their K-12 experience. Many of our students at Murray High School have been within our district for their entire school career. They have learned that they were Murray in elementary. They were Murray in junior high. And now we are Murray in high school and beyond. As part of the admin team, it is my hope to lead and support our entire school to dream big while keeping our feet firmly planted on the ground as we teach our students that the ground is where our feet must stay as big dreams come through hard work and perseverance. Thank you again for this amazing opportunity, and I'll see you next year.
In a few weeks.
In a few weeks.
Congratulations. Yeah,
Thank you.
It's very exciting. And then this is kind of exciting that I'm conducting today because I'm such a fan of Skills USA and our construction program. So I think it's just wonderful. It does so much good for our students. So we'd like to invite Quinn Drury up to give this recognition to Jacob.
So you want me to?
Can we tell us what he participated in? Yeah. Give us a rundown of what.
Okay, yeah, so Jacob competed at the Skills USA state competition, and he won a gold medal in job skill demonstration. And I'll let Jacob kind of tell you what that is.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
All right. So basically the job skill demonstration is demonstrating a skill that you can use like practically in like a job or in an industry. So for mine, I chose a carpentry skill, which is coping, joining, and base molding. So I basically just did about a 5 to 6 minute video on how to do it correctly, all the steps you need to take, and just how to improve, like make it nice. And so yeah, that was my competition.
It's not that easy because I had a son who did the same competition. So you made it sound like there's a lot more work to it. So congratulations, that's exceptional. And we're proud of all our kids that compete, but you also did really well.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for supporting it,
Oh.
being able to do it.
It's awesome.
Congratulations, Jacob. Thank you for representing Murray District so well. Let's give Jacob a round.
Your parents are good too. So thank you guys for coming to support him. And thanks, Quinn. And thank you, our house guys. Close out this
I do need to take a minute to thank you guys for the support that you give to our program, to the Skills USA kids. I think Steve Scheidel, when he addressed the faculty, said how grateful he is for the support that we get from the board, from the administration, and from our program. We feel it. It's huge, and we're really, really grateful. So thank you.
How many times have you had the winner of state?
We've done pretty good, but this is our very first winner in job skill demonstration. And Glo, it was you that told me that when you do a state winner in Skills USA, it isn't a 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A. And those applied technology centers are very competitive. That's their competition of the year. And so the couple things I'll say about Jacob really quick is he is extremely capable, extremely talented, but on top of that, he's extremely kind and helpful. And if you see what he does with those other kids that I put him with to work on the job sites, and the house that we finish is a lot because of his great work and excellent work ethic. So.
Awesome. The house was beautiful. So
Thank you.
maybe we'll introduce Mrs. Fetzer to Jacob on the way out because that's the world she lives in, is beautiful finished carpentry. So, thank you very much. My son cleaned video game consoles and resold them as his, so he didn't get a gold. Yours is probably a little more useful, but he had fun. All right, so now I need a motion to approve our consent agenda.
We have to do a lot of work tonight. Only 2 board members here. Okay. Anyway, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, perfect. Our next part of our agenda is our delegations. I'm thinking no MEA. Massa is excused. Massa. And the foundation, she has also excused, but I'm sure she would tell you to make sure you have the golf tournament on your calendar. And then at this time, we'll take patron statements, and I will read this first.
We have
All our patrons can talk.
I know, it's like, hey, back.
Feels back to normal. I'm excited about that.
Now is the time to hear from our public. We welcome your comments, which are important to us. Please note that all comments are limited to 3 minutes. Public statements are welcome for new issues, new program policy suggestions, and other issues that have not recently come before the board. During this segment of the meeting, statements are not allowed regarding bidding, contracts, employment, or personnel issues. Criticism of an individual district employees, complaints where other appeals are available, repetition of issues recently discussed in a board meeting, or items which have a separate public hearing. When your name is called, please go to the podium to comment. It is helpful for the board if you would give us your name. Please address your remarks to the board vice chair, and note that we will not be entering into dialogue at this time. The purpose of this agenda item is for you, the public, to inform us, the board, about your views. If members of the public have factual questions, staff will be glad to address them after the meeting. And so April Spain is our one public comment.
Okay, thanks. This letter is to express concern about the changes being proposed and implemented regarding grammar requests in Murray School District. As a parent who has submitted several requests myself and who personally knows the expense associated with them, I know how important it is to be able to submit grammar requests when one is in need of additional information not readily provided by our school and district administrators. I feel it is important, and I think most parents and community members would agree, that the ability to submit grammar requests should not be limited to only those parents who have excess monetary funds to be able to submit them. One of the new proposals of the district's grammar rules is that copies should cost 25 cents per page. After doing some research, we have found that FedEx, formerly Kinko's, a for-profit business, only charges 21 cents per copy. Our local library, as well as many libraries and other government institutions in Utah, only charge 10 cents per copy. Why is Murray District charging more than double the typical price of nonprofit or government organizations, and even more than for-profit copy centers such as FedEx? If your purpose, as would be in line with the purpose of Grandma Law, is to make your records easily accessible to the taxpayers who have legal rights to view them, why are you charging so much for us to access them? Additionally, parents are concerned about why there is a varying fee for records which take more than an hour to access. Grandma Law states that the hourly charge for records requests may not exceed the salary of the lowest paid employee capable of fulfilling the request. What difference does it make if the request takes under or over an hour? Either way, the cost should remain in line with Grandma Laws. We are doubtful that $25 an hour is the salary of the lowest paid employee capable of searching and fulfilling requests, but even if it is, that price clearly should not suddenly be increased because the request takes more than an hour. We have several concerns and questions about Murray's reasoning for altering rules regarding grammar requests, but I think overall, our main concern is that Murray District is less concerned with goals of transparency for parents and more concerned with making it difficult for parents to access public records. If Murray really wants to be open with its parents and community members, please make that clear by making access to records easier rather than more difficult. Additionally, if Murray truly values equality and opportunities for all, perhaps the district should be concerned about how equally accessible and fair it is to only allow the most financially sound individuals in our district the ability to access your public records. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will move to our report of the board. Yeah. So we will start with our district board today. Yami.
I just wanted to, again, echo, I know a lot of our administration isn't here, but I attended a lot of end of year facility or activities. And I know how much work goes into putting those on especially in the COVID year. There was a lot of extra precautions done. And I just really appreciate our administration for the extra hours they have to put outside of their work day. And graduation, I thought was great. I appreciated the work that was done there. Our seniors were able to do a lot of end of year activities, which just really, I think, gave them closure. And then even our little elementaries were able to do some end of year activities and appreciate that. And I'm excited for this next year to see what we've learned from COVID and what we keep and what we change. And just, I know that there's many lessons that we've said, because of COVID, this will be better. And I'm excited to learn those lessons and move forward. So looking forward to the new year.
All right, cool. Well, I'm very excited for our school district that COVID's over and we're probably having all of our students in schools. That's my hope. And I am so happy for the teachers because they were having to do online sometimes as well as school. And it was very difficult. And I know the parents also had problems, but I know that we are Murray and we are the best district in this whole valley. And I hear that all the time from other people. And we have the best superintendent, I think, in the whole state because she helped everybody about what we were doing in Murray because we were the first ones to start that. So we will do our best and we try to have the best at every school for every student.
All right, so just a couple of things. I'm excited for our sports teams. Our spring teams did well. They all went into playoffs and fought hard, and that's always an exciting part of the high school experience, I think, and as well as graduation. I think I love graduation at the school. I just thought it was like your home field is what it felt like. But I also love that Scott always tells us the accomplishments of that class, and it's amazing to hear how many are scholarships and military that they're going into and all the different accomplishments that they've done. We have an amazing bunch of kids and we're really fortunate to work with them. Cami and I actually had that discussion about lesson learns that I think we all thought we knew what lessons we were going to learn in this COVID year, and they've been very different lessons that we've learned. And so it'll be exciting to get back to some of the things we used to do and change some of the things for the better. And lastly, Jeanette just grabbed me before this and I realized that I had seen so many cute pictures. I'm so glad we let the kids dance for community dance because those kids were so cute in their costumes. And one mom told me they all have a little bit of marks on their sleeves, on their shoulders because they were last year's costumes. And they all drunk. But Jeanette just expressed a thank you that we got that up and running again. I'm glad we did that for kids. And so that is all I have at this time. So we will keep on going on our report of the staff, and Darren has an LEA specific license to go.
Can I just say one more thing? We have the best PTA person sitting right over there and all of our schools. It's just wonderful. So thank you for being here and helping all the schools.
Awesome.
Sure doesn't fall, you never know. So mine's just a short item, LEA specific licenses. You might remember that we talked about this in October. These are our educators that have a degree and in another field typically and are working on getting their licensure. We just had an oversight, we'll call it a clerical oversight. We had a new teacher that we hired at Parkside Elementary due to a teacher resigning, and that was back in December. And so we needed to get this approved by the board and by the board here and also by the state. And so this teacher currently does have a Nevada license and is in the process of applying for the Utah teaching license. So we expect fully that they'll have their teaching license next year. So it's just asking the board if they would approve the LEA specific license for Parkside Elementary teacher Rachel Boss at this time.
Perfect. Can I get a motion to approve the LEA specific license for Rachel Boss?
I move that we approve the LEA specific license for Rachel Boss.
And I need a second.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, thank you. And Vice President, I'll have a letter for you to sign after the meeting.
I will sign Jared's name.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to turn our time over to the superintendent to go over a couple of our items on our agenda.
Great, thank you. My first item is to bring before the board some school land trust amendments from Viewmont Elementary. And so Viewmont Elementary, I appreciate their community council chair who they looked at a lot of their data and recognized that, again, due to COVID, some of the things that they had planned out for this current year were unable to be funded. And so they took a hard look at data and what they needed to put into their school. And they actually have 5 amendments to come before the board tonight. So the first amendment, they would like to modify goal number 1, and they would like to amend that by $9,500 to purchase 8 additional audio enhancement systems and 3 additional microphones for teacher classrooms. And these would be to replace aging or ineffective systems. Again, I'm going to go through all the amendments, and then if we want to vote on all of them or if we want to pull any of them out, we can vote on those separate. Their next amendment is also a modification or an amendment to goal number 1. They would like to, they wanted to do some things for White Ribbon Week and the NetSmarts Assembly so that they can use these programs to help reinforce the concepts of digital citizenship and internet safety, which is a requirement of our school community councils. So that is an amendment of $1,130. The next amendment is an amendment where they would like to move some funds that were dedicated into their first goal and move it to goal number 2.
From 2.
Yes, I apologize that, yes. From goal 2 to number 1. Thank you, Vice President Johnson. And what they would like to use that, they wanted to provide paraprofessional support to their students, extend that. So our paraprofessionals, as we've talked about before, can only work a certain number of weeks given the budget constraints that we do have. And they felt, especially in a COVID year, they wanted to be able to keep those individuals going. So that's an amendment of $1,500. The next amendment is, again, an amendment to goal number 2. They also had technology as part of an amendment, or as part of their goal number 2. And this is to purchase 3 more audio enhancement systems to replace. So if you're counting up, that's 11, but they're taking it from 2 different goals that both had technology in it. That's a cost of $4,349.82. They priced that out well. And then the final amendment from Viewmont Elementary, we still have 2 more, is the next amendment is an amendment to goal number 2. They want to purchase, I think this is the wrong one, I apologize. Let me bring the right one up. I apologize. They would like to purchase the individual student whiteboards for each teacher's classroom and for the special education classroom. A couple of things that does, it helps their fine motor skills because everyone has their own whiteboard and is writing on it. And it's also a great way to do some formative checks for understanding. And so they've got a plan to use that. And then the final amendment is they would like to move $2,500 from goal number 2 to goal number 1 to purchase additional library materials. And those materials would include books in Spanish and books that are representative of the school's population. And our libraries do have older things in them, and so they're looking to try and make some refresh to that. So those are the amendments from Viewmont Elementary. If I would ask Vice Chair Johnson if the board is okay voting on all the amendments at once, or if we'd like to break any of them out.
Does anybody have any questions, or do you want to break any of them out?
I just have a question. So this is for the 20 21 year, so it's their ending balance essentially, right?
So, yes, and some of it, they've actually done some of these things. They got some of it, they wanted to get it right before the end of the school year. So if the amendments don't pass, they'll pay for it with school money, if that makes sense. But there are things they wanted to be able to implement towards the end of the school year.
Okay. I just appreciate, I know I've said this before, but I appreciate that we can now do these amendments. Like it used to be so set in stone, but I also appreciate our community councils, how they will take the time and go through these so carefully that they find these things. It's just, that shows a lot of dedication and patience. So I appreciate that. Do we have any more questions?
And it took them quite a while. Like I usually join the school community council because that's where I live. And we have a wonderful council, and this started not just immediately. This is like 6 months.
Right.
Going through this.
And really talking about it and
Yes.
deciding where they want it. That's, I do appreciate it a lot. So do we need a motion?
We do need a motion.
Okay, so I need a motion to.
I'll move that we approve the Viewmont, right? Viewmont School Community Council amendments.
All right, a second.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? What a weird meeting, just like.
Thank you. And I did neglect to say that their community council did vote on this on May 20th of 2021. They had 11 that were for the amendments,
Yeah. they were all-
no against, and they had no absences. So that kind of, especially school community council meeting at the end of May, that speaks a lot that they have been working on these for quite some time. Thank you for that motion and support or the approval. I will get those to the school land trust administrators in the morning for them to review and give their approval. My next agenda item is the proposed board meeting schedule for the 2021-2022 school year. And so I know you've had this in your board docs. Just a couple of things to note. We do meet typically on the second Thursday of every month for our regular board meeting, and then the fourth Thursday of every month as needed for a study session. There are a couple of things that are always a little bit tricky with the second Thursday. So in October, the second Thursday actually falls on fall break. And so I moved that tentatively pending board approval to the third week in October rather than the second week. And then in November and December, the fourth Thursday of the month falls on winter break and Thanksgiving break. And so we wouldn't have study sessions in those 2 months. I did check, it's nice that our School Boards Association conference does not fall this year. It is actually the week prior, so it's during the first full week of January. And so that will not be, I know sometimes that has been. And then also the National School Boards Conference does not fall on the second Thursday. So we're good with all of the rest of those dates. So I would be happy to answer any questions or suggestions if we wanted to look at something different. And if not, I will turn it back over to Vice Chair Johnson to ask for a motion.
I don't think we have any reason to change or have a different day of the week or any of those things. So, and then that makes sense, fall break. I mean, I want fall break. Okay, so are we good with that? Okay, then I'll take a question.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2021-22 school year calendar.
A second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you. And tomorrow, I will get those all added to calendar invites.
That's always the easiest way.
That's what's easier. And I will say that one other thing, we scheduled the Pinnacle Gala for March 17th, so it will not interfere with board meeting. I know that's kind of sometimes been hard to try and get here and then get over to the high school for that. So we've scheduled those on opposite.
I don't know, but we've done that for a few years in a row. I don't know how we
Yeah.
not caught, like,
Yeah. Well, we have fixed that this year.
yeah.
And I'm excited that we anticipate that all of these will be open board meetings.
Yep, yes, that should be the plan, so knock on wood, nothing happened.
And then the last thing is I would like to ask Vice President Johnson for the board to go into a closed session to discuss personnel and property.
Okay, so we need a motion on that.
I think you just.
Or do we pull the board? Oh, pull the board, that's right. Pull the board on closed session. Kenny?
Yes.
Yes. All right, we're going into closed session.
And I actually don't need any district directors to stay for the closed session tonight, so
Because Scott's not here.
you get to go. So thank you. And I don't know that we need a break. I think once the room clears,
Okay, I was awesome. Darren, if you want to bring that up. Do I really just have to?
Section 4, yeah.
Just very small.
7, 8,
Special for after.
I'm gonna leave this here for my meeting tomorrow. Is that
How
okay?
are you?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Where's?